Debate live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a Ko-Fi, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Refracted Curvature, Neil, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Good morning.
Dale,
Good morning, everyone.
I
Good
want you
morning.
to stop talking about the globe.
Hey, good afternoon.
Yeah. Well, kind of. Been talking about atmosphere and whether or not it's acceptable to use, which it absolutely is not under any circumstances. Even if you walk into a room with a terrible vibe, you're not allowed to say the atmosphere's poor. You can say it doesn't feel very good in here. Are we all clear? Have we got this straight now? Good. Don't want to hear any more about it. And if we do happen to hear anybody using that word, atmosphere, oxymoronic that it is, we're going to be very severe with them. Very, very severe. Anyway, let's do some housekeeping. Any evidence you can have gas pressure without a container?
Why would you ask that?
Because there's a Western world view that the sky is a vacuum and that we have high pressure gas without containment.
So that would be a
Are you telling me that
people that believe that.
Yes, we're challenging the
Go ahead,
Western
John.
world in their belief of a sky vacuum with high pressurized gas not dispersing into it in violation of the second law of thermodynamics to justify their belief. Yes.
Well, that's what I'm saying is, so there's a Western world view that there's an infinitely expanding area of gas above their head, or there's infinitely expanding space above their head that gas is not filling without containment. And where would they get such an idea from?
Reification of a Copernican model.
Wouldn't the second law be high pressure goes to low pressure sometimes?
Well, that's
Instead?
a description of entropic increase, yes.
Well, it wouldn't be
They
a
don't have some-
Copernican model.
Well, the Copernican model
Why
is
not?
derived from the celestial sphere model.
Right. In the celestial sphere model, they assume the stars are an infinite distance away. So that gives them that area of volume that gas isn't filling.
Oh dear.
Any evidence you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline?
Do you mean can I perform celestial navigation on a globe? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, I mean, aspects of navigation generally are acquisition of ground positions, and you're acquiring distances based on angle measurements to stars. So you're going to need a flat Earth for that. And there's an assertion that,
Well,
for
no.
instance, sextants
The
only work on a
question
globe.
is, the question was, can I get an elevation angle from a curved surface? I have to hack that curve, a big chunk of it out to make it flat first. Then I could go ahead with the process. Is that okay?
Well, no, because that isn't the process. You're using the ground for the baseline itself, so there's no flattening anything out involved.
Right. Surface level, if you believe you live on a sphere, is not a big flat spot. we'll say
it's
surface level is curving. So yeah, that's a problem.
singular.
Okay, see.
If it's just an angle to get, it would just be singular, one angle. If it's curved, then it will be multiple angles within one line.
I don't know about multiple. There just isn't one.
No, it'll be angles. It'll be different angles every point you go down.
Yeah, Rob Durham tried to explain that when he put a curved line and has a straight line meeting it in his CAD program. Rob Durham, this is, and he asks the system, "What's this angle?" It just says error because it cannot give you one. And then his explanation was, as you move down the curve, you're increasing the angle as you move along the curve. That, strictly speaking, isn't true. None of it is an angle because an angle is two straight lines meeting. If one of them isn't straight, it just ipso facto isn't an angle, ever.
Yeah, I agree with it.
Well, they say it's a curved angle.
That's not. There's no such beast.
Right. If you're wanting to do what you're talking about with segmentation of a curved line, you can take one point of a segment, draw a line out into space, and take a straight line to any point on that segment and use that straight line you just drew to any point on that segment and that line out into space to make an angle. But that is not using a curved baseline. You're creating a different line that is not that line. See how that's different?
So the answer is no. You cannot get an elevation angle from a curved surface. Next.
All right, Neil, how about this
Something,
one?
by the way, Neil deGrasse Tyson never answered. I sent him various emails at all different times. I think the last one I sent was maybe a month ago. No response.
Obviously, he's scared.
I'm waiting on you, Righteous.
Right.
Well, hold on a second. Before you
Yes,
go to
Nathan.
Righteous, hold on. This is
Okay.
coming to a head with Alex Jones being on a show with Eddie Bravo and the shyster over there. Eventually, it's going to come to Neil deGrasse Tyson's doorstep. Eventually, it's going to get there, and he's going to have to deal with it. And that's when the fireworks begin.
He's already dealt with it. You dropped a mic.
No. I'm not talking 10 years ago, Nathan. It's coming around. Believe me, it's getting to his ears.
Okay.
Now you have a prominent actor coming out with a video. And he even sent him, in that video, if you listen, he sent the paper to Neil deGrasse Tyson, who is highly critical of it. It's reaching his doorstep.
Well, the thing is, and that's why I like Eddie Bravo. As far as the mind's eye of the people looking at this subject, they're only getting fed certain points of view and certain positions. Eddie Bravo is the only person that I've been able to get behind who is what you would call a mainstream flat earther, I guess. Well, maybe Owen Benjamin. I've not really heard his positions.
No,
but,
he's been ostracized from the mainstream.
All right, my turn.
Said he's been ostracized from the mainstream. Owen Benjamin, that is.
The mainstream of flat Earth is what I'm speaking solely to. The majority
okay.
of flat earthers.
So you're saying he represents one of the bigger names within our little community?
Yes, Eddie Bravo and Owen Benjamin are the only two that I feel any comfort at all in saying, they're worth a second look at this point.
Okay. Why?
Oh, I took away from Mark Sargent as well, but so those three, and it just seems as if they're still stuck in the same points that they were getting made fun of for back in 2015 and 2016. Their understanding hasn't grown within the subject. Other flat Earth perceived leaders.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, how about this? Is celestial sphere an oxymoron?
No.
Okay, what's the difference between
Yeah,
celestial sphere?
yes,
No and yes.
and both sides. Yeah, both sides will admit to it, but as far as from modeling or navigation, it's just utilized for angles. So I don't think you could really apply the same pressure to it that you could atmosphere.
Well, you said Nathan said no. You said yes. I'm gonna go with Nathan then. So Nathan, what's the difference between that and atmosphere? Celestial sphere and atmosphere. Why do you say one no to the other and yes to the other?
Okay, if I derive a description of an angle to a star that I can see the star and describe its angle. Unlike with atmosphere, there's no part of that that gives you a sphere-shaped air to point to justify why you're calling it that. Now, I appreciate that the celestial sphere itself is a north and south flat plane with a flat sky, with you stood inside a protractor pointing out different stars along that flat sky. There is no sphere in physical reality whatsoever. There's two flat planes. But if you're standing at a given point and you suggest that that point is the most logical Polaris because it doesn't move, then you can create a system using that methodology of having a protractor wrapped around your position and having the stars pointed out within that protractor. Now, the globe have taken it one step further and made your surface of the world that you just measured flat, the surface of the protractor. That's what they've done. But both are, if you take it to the notion that we have actually got a hemisphere of stars around our position, it's ludicrous. We haven't. The sky is always above you, and it's above the point that you can see on the horizon. If you can see a star on the horizon, and that's land, just for the sake of simplicity, if there's a person standing there, what you see on your horizon, there's a good chance it's at their zenith, just for, again, ease of simplicity. That is to say, it's above them. It never reaches the horizon. So the idea of having a hemispherical view of stars is absurd in physical reality. It's just a way of describing it. So if that's what you mean by oxymoronic, no, oxymoron is like married bachelor. Yeah? Sphere-shaped air. Well, air isn't sphere. It can't have a shape. It's unbonded. How can it have a shape? It's oxymoronic for that reason. Now,
well, hold on a second.
Celestial sphere is not oxymoronic.
I can use the same defense you use for the celestial sphere for atmosphere.
No, you can't. Point to atmosphere. Point to sphere-shaped air.
Point to sphere-shaped sky.
I can point to a representation of a star on the horizon and a star above my head and give you a description of a hemispherical view. That's as far as my justification, because that is the justification, goes. But you're not going to get away with calling it an oxymoron just because of that.
Right, but both sides admit that it's asymptotically flat sky. Space.
Yes, I'd agree with that.
So flat can't be a shape.
No, but I can describe the angles and represent them in a model, hemispherically, and call it the celestial sphere. We have. You know what I mean?
That's the example you gave me to show my son, and it worked. But he just thinks it's the other side that we're not accounting for. So connect the dots. I understand what you're saying, Nathan.
No dots to connect.
Well, that's
how we look at it.
The difference is.
Sorry, go ahead.
The difference is Well, the difference is you develop the idea of atmosphere from the celestial sphere. Atmosphere is the oxymoron. The celestial sphere is just angle measurements put into a model. That's really the difference. It's not analogous.
Perfect. Why didn't you say that from the beginning?
Well, we got there in the end. Do you want? That's why we discuss these things. 60 people watching. Please share the show if you've not done so already. There's a good chance you're only here amongst the 60 because someone else has shared the show already. So thank you if you've shared the show. 64
I
watching.
don't understand, John. He's
Go
so
on.
smart. He's so sharp. And then sometimes it takes forever to get somewhere, like just now.
Well, Neil, usually I take everything apart and put it back together 100 times before I understand the whole.
Speaking of which,
Well,
Brian's logic did a good little breakdown of a straw man rebuttal we get. This is pretty hyper specific, so unless you're a regular to the show, this might go straight over your head, but it doesn't matter. So, in terms of us pointing out how celestial navigation works, not our claim, just us pointing out what it is, we will get a response back from our opponent saying, "How high is the star?" Now, Brian, according to him, this originally came from Adam, but it doesn't matter. It's Brian that's made the video on it. He's pointing out that when you actually do a elevation angle measurement, you're not getting any distances, right? You've got to extrapolate out the distance along the baseline, right? To then have a distance to start inferring the other distances based on the angles to give you the height after the fact. Well, once you achieve the distance along the baseline, you've achieved your objective in celestial navigation. That's all you're trying to do. So Brian pointing out, when they ask us for height, it's like, well, at this stage, before you follow through with the process of celestial navigation and measure a flat Earth for one of the distances, there is no distances to start asking for height. So where do you get your distance along the baseline? Because as soon as you start giving us back in rebuttal a distance to start inferring height that will be wrong, you're accepting the methodology of measuring Earth flat for the distance to the GP with celestial navigation. So it's just a nice little response to them asking us for the height. Well, what distance have you got to work with to give you height? Oh, we haven't. Well, what would we do to get one of the distances? Oh, we'd measure Earth flat. Well, then this is the end of the argument in principle, isn't it? Because who cares after that? You've then measured Earth flat for the baseline distance to the GP, which is what you're actually trying to do with this process. In other words, this whole height nonsense is sort of, it's been destroyed already, but it's nice to see Brian, and he gave credit to him, so Adam, knocking this 6 ways from Sunday. It's not a rebuttal, but it's nice to have an overcome to the non-rebuttal. So, you know, Brian into the weeds in a good way. Love it. Shout out to Brian's logic. Check out his video if you haven't seen it already.
Well, Brian's not really into the weeds because perspective and geometry, you know, they meet in celestial navigation. You are getting a point above a position on Earth that you can call a triangle to form a circle of equal altitude. The only thing is the star is only at that position to the observer who is navigating. So they're just, when people ask that question, they're not understanding that you're talking about, you know, your optical plane and the actual plane, and the process is called celestial navigation. They're not connecting that in their minds at all.
Okay, looks like we've got a choice of videos to actually cover today. I'll only give you a choice of 2, although there's several. We've got Joe Rogan and Billy Carson talking about how flat earthers need to wake up, or Flat Earth Dave discussing stuff at the conference. Now, Flat Earth Dave came in first, and I've actually already got that queued up. But if you want us to critique Flat Earth Dave, put 1 in the chat. And if you'd rather hear Joe Rogan and Billy Carson talking about how we need to wake up, put number 2. Just because it's already queued up, I'm more in favour of covering Flat Earth Dave. Just because, as I say, I've already got it loaded up. But I'll take my cue from the audience. So, number 1 for Flat Earth Dave in the live stream chat, or number 2 for Joe Rogan, and we'll cover whichever one seems more popular by demand of the audience.
And
No, you got a sentimental weakness for shice too.
Me?
And I will say, if you don't choose number 2, you need to wake up, flat earthers.
Now, if you don't choose number 2, you got to deal with Neil. 2.
So 2 votes for Rogan. My vote's for Dave. Anybody else want to put their vote in from the Discord server? Feel free. Most of the chat are saying Dave. Danny says Dave. Lee says Dave. INFE says Dave. Q-Lerek, if I'm saying your name right, says Dave. John.
It's over. Dave. It's over. You flat earthers need to wake up. Let's watch Dave Weiss.
They're rebelling against my authority right now.
There's a few more 2s coming in. I like this. It's good fun. I like asking the audience what they want to cover. It's mostly 1s. Looks like the 1s have it. Okay, we'll cover Flat Earth Day, which is good. It saves me a job of queuing up Joe Rogan and worrying about pausing it every 10 seconds so it doesn't copyright strike me. Right, so this is Flat Earth Day. Well, Dave's on our side, right? So this should be a... Go on, John.
I will just thank you, all flat earthers, for demonstrating Joe Rogan and whoever that other numpty was for being correct. You flat earthers need to wake up.
I woke up this morning at 7:30. What are you talking about? Right,
well, I guess their whole argument's down the tubes then. Let's go ahead and watch Dave Weiss.
We are. Was there more 2s? Let's just double check. There was more 1s than 2s. Yeah, there was. Just. Okay, right, let's sound check this.
And if I had sound, with Paul singing, but the fool on the hill sees the sun going down, but the eyes in his head see the world spinning round.
Was there a particular point you wanted us to
boats over the horizon. That's a big one. Everyone's like, boats go over the horizon. Different disappears from the bottom up. We were all shown that 3-masted ship in grade school. But if you watch that video again, that exact video, edit, and every time the ship went down, they lowered the camera.
Anti-globe arguments straight off the bat. Was there a bit you wanted us to jump into? Was it you that suggested this mush? He's obviously not his mic. Sod's law. Okay, we'll just crack on with it, I guess.
Camera. I could see your heads back there.
What? I'm sorry. What'd you say, bro? I wasn't next to my desk.
Was there a particular point you wanted us to jump in at?
No, man. No, it's just a long video. If you feel like covering it.
I mean, I'm already into covering it. I mean, straight off the bat, in 2024, our rhetoric contradicts what Dave is doing, and he's been doing it for a long time. So it can sound like we're being overly critical. It's just that's our narrative currently, which is to say, front foot forward, declare that Earth is measured flat, because it is. And for the last 10 years, all we've done is come up with anti-globe arguments. So getting into how boats not going over Earth curve is a globe-focused argument. Go ahead.
Yeah, pretty much.
There, but now
Pretty
I can't.
much,
You're below the horizon of these heads over here. That's all.
What is the horizon? If we're going to be discussing it, shouldn't we define what we're talking about?
It's on the slide. It says in great big letters, curvature. So, we're very much cementing the globe ideas because we've got overcomes for them. Like we're on the back foot overcoming the positive assertions of a globe Earth as flat earthers. That's what we've done for 10 years. It's time to move forward and start being on the front foot, positively asserting the facts of the matter in terms of what we now know 10 years down the line. Earth's measured flat. But before you get to curvature, let's put a little sugar coating on this. Before you get to curvature, Earth's measured flat to make the assertion that we've got Earth curvature. To be in a position as a flat Earth to be defending it. Flat Earth comes first. Yeah, John.
Right. Surface level, where surface level appears to meet the sky, is what they're saying is Earth curve. But when you look at the mathematics, surface level is a flat plane, and eye level's a parallel plane with it. It is not Earth curve. Why are we trying to debunk the horizon as Earth curve if they're not even making that claim themselves?
So, Divergent Droid from the chat has just dropped a link to this video. I should have done this first of all. Definitely should have done it properly, as it's a friendly, i.e. one of our own. But you can see a link going by now to Flat Earth Dave YouTube channel. So drop him a subscription, give him a like, and let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Unbeknownst to Neil, Neil's of the opinion that Dave must be the ultimate arbiter of everything we say here and understand it implicitly going forward. Now, for all I know, Dave never watches this show. He's openly declared it to an audience. Let's put it that way. So, given that he's openly declaring he's not watching, given that we're sending our audience to tell him, this is what you need to pay attention to if you want to be a more successful ambassador for the subject matter. So, in a positive way, we're trying to better the argumentation of people like Dave Weiss in our critique here today.
That's all they did. It's just a trick. Why do they have to lie if the Earth is a globe?
Appeal to motivation fallacy.
What? I'm stuck? I'm good. I didn't change it yet.
Yeah, it's not a
So
lie,
here is a
Dave.
time lapse.
John?
It is not a lie. It is wrong. You don't know it's a lie, Dave. You're saying that because you've ascribed some kind of supernatural intelligence to the people who's giving you the information so that they can't be wrong. So they're either lying or they're being paid to say it. They're shills, they're whatever. Instead of just accepting, people can be wrong. And a lot of people can be wrong.
Of a bay, non-tidal bay, and watch the buildings. The buildings disappear. It's a little hard to see, but the beach is disappearing. The buildings disappear. The mountains. This is just atmosphere. Nothing's changing here. This is
Just sphere-shaped air causing this. The globe concept, an oxymoronic sphere-shaped air causing this effect that we don't have a positive claim about. So Dave is overcoming globe arguments. Very much on the back foot.
This is a static camera. Look at those buildings. And then they're gone. And if you're watching this, normally, we don't normally stand there in time lapse and watch things for hours and hours. The glober will go, look, the building's gone. You can't see it. The Earth is a globe, right?
Right. So you're doing a great job of putting the globe Earth argument, cementing it in the mind's eye of the audience currently. Well done. That's sarcastic. Let's be a bit less sarcastic. It's not a good idea, if you're a flat earther, to reaffirm that which a globe believer will look at and just take the positive assertion with affirmation bias on their side for the globe. All you're doing is reaffirming with that which they believe. You coming up with an overcome, at best, will put them in cognitive dissonance. That's it. That's the best you can hope for.
Nathan, this may have been okay maybe 7, 8 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, but not today. I'm sorry.
That's just because it's just atmospheric conditions. Here we got
Yeah, atmosphere conditions are terrestrial refraction. That's an atmosphere condition, or an atmospheric condition. Yeah, oxymoronic sphere-shaped air, in terms of what that can do to light, it's a rate of the sphere-shaped bit, an R-based refraction known as terrestrial refraction. If you're going to say atmosphere is causing this, the glober's response is, yeah, it is. 7/6 of the radius in standard form. It's called atmospheric refraction. Of course, that's the reason. Yeah?
How would you measure this refraction to come up with the idea that it's atmospheric?
He hasn't.
Yeah, I'm just trying to help him out.
I mean, if you were to describe atmospheric conditions, you're going to describe the gradiated pressure that we do experience from surface level. But why would you do that? We haven't got a positive claim about this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you're going to do this at all, you should be pointing out the genesis of their understanding comes from refraction studies done from a flat plane, as Andrew Thomas Young states in the first paragraph of his study.
That's true if you're into the tete-a-tete wrangle-dangle of being in a debate. But as a presentation, why affirm their position? Why give the rebuttal to their position in terms of atmosphere? It just seems nonsensical. If you're going to be...
It is. I'm sorry. You're right. I thought he was debating someone. I apologize.
No, this is a presentation. This is just him with free reign to say whatever he likes to an audience of the converted. It's at a flat earth convention, right? So you can say whatever he likes.
Horizon here, super clear day. We take a drone, we raise it up. Now, if we're on a ball, the higher up you are, the farther you can see. The farther you can see, the lower the Earth would be. You're always at the top. The Earth farther away, it goes lower and lower. But when we raise it up, we can see the horizon farther. That can only happen on a flat Earth.
But for the fact that they've got mathematics that describe it at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. So as a glober, if you're in the audience listening today, you're like, oh, wow, this can only happen on a flat Earth. Then you come across somebody who's got the vaguest idea of how to overcome basic flat Earth arguments. And they go, only happen on a flat Earth? Here's the maths for Earth curve. Look, Earth curves at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. So what are you talking about? You're flat out wrong. They've got an overcome for this. We would point out that their maths, not that we should be starting with their bloody claim and their bloody maths, but as we are, we're here now, aren't we? Not exactly how I would tackle this if it was my presentation. Earth's measured flat. First words out your mouth. And then show a few examples. Meanwhile, here we are talking about Earth curve maths and horizons that are Earth curve and how they aren't really Earth curve and that. Well, the Earth curve assertion has got a flat plane in it. John described it earlier. It's a differential calculation between surface level and eye level. That's what Earth curve is. The Earth curve bit's below surface level that's flat. If you're going to talk about Earth curve, talk about how the flat Earth origins are as part of that maths. Not about how it doesn't work in physical reality. The maths isn't physical reality. It's an orthographic view. None of this makes sense. And your overcome is that it only works on a flat Earth if you raise in altitude. You see further? Now, they've got that wrapped up. They've reverse engineered stuff from the 1800s that mariners were using to calculate where the horizon would be. They just stuck the tidal Earth curve on it. Now, we know the origins of where they've come up with this calculation, but that's all it is, and it works. Gives you an accurate representation of where the horizon will be based on a differential calculation from surface level to your height, with eye level, parallel with it. That's how this functions. You need quite a lot of flat Earth proof to actually explain how this maths works, rather than completely ignoring it and saying it only works on a flat Earth. Right up until a glober comes and shoves Earth curve maths under your nose, you don't realise that just because it's got the title Earth curve maths doesn't mean that the horizon's Earth curve. And when you look into how it actually functions, it needs a flat Earth to work. Now, these are the advanced arguments that you should be putting forth to people, not telling them that raising in altitude only works on a flat Earth when you're seeing further. That's garbage. They've got an entire mathematical calculation to decry that claim. But their claim doesn't overcome anything because it needs a flat Earth for it. Go ahead.
If anything, if you want to be discussing this with a large group of people, you would be talking about a resolution loss calculator that mariners used to call the offing, that describes that differential between eye level and surface level, and go through the steps that they used to come up with this understanding, right? And then you can point out at the end of it, just to tease the people and maybe get a giggle as an afterthought or a joke, that you notice this is the Earth curve maths they claim. They just interpret it wrong. You could do that. That would probably be, but you would use that as a punchline to a joke to antagonize. You wouldn't be basing your argument on it.
Yeah, I just see it as another wasted opportunity, even though he's in the process of bringing up our globe Earth doesn't work. I wouldn't go forward on the front foot showing how flat Earth's used in globe Earth maths. You just say Earth's measured flat and show it. Show how it is. If you're in a debate with somebody and they're going first, and they give you an example of how Earth is actually globe-shaped, take them through their evidence and how it requires a flat Earth in rebuttal, and then give another 5 examples of how Earth's measured flat. But
Right, and that's what I'm saying too.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm saying that too. I'm saying there's nothing wrong with you describing a differential calculation and how that differential calculation utilizes a flat plane, right? And at the end of it, as a joke, say, and this is what they think is Earth curve maths after you've sufficiently explained it. That would be, kind of putting a joke at the end of it after you've explained how it needs a flat Earth and what you're actually measuring and what you're actually calculating and how that describes resolution loss from the bottom up with ships. That would be one thing. But to interject a globe at any point in that time is non sequitur to what you're actually doing. Right.
What we're trying to use Dave as a muse for is to show the audience that as a flat earther, prove Earth's flat. Sometimes the best slogans are stating the bleeding obvious, but that's what we're doing. Right. What are you? A globe undoer? Are you? Is your title globe demolishment expert? Because it isn't. If you're saying you're a flat earther, just prove Earth's flat. That's it. Now, I don't decry the idea that you're going to be confronted with globe believers who have got arguments that you will need to overcome, and therefore a very good heliocentric understanding is a worthy thing to have. But in a presentation to the converted in this instance, just tell them how Earth is. Give them some actual relief. Let them know that their belief, as it currently stands, based on how the globe doesn't work, that's what the audience have got already. They already understand how the globe doesn't work to be stood in front of you. Now tell them how it does work, how it is measured.
Only happen on a flat Earth, right? And talk about atmospheric refraction. I got a lens here, and I have...
Atmospheric refraction's terrestrial refraction, based on an R derivation, also measured with a flat Earth with Polaris inferred minimum. That's what they call the equator. That's where they get the R value from, for the 7/6R in what he's calling atmosphere. No, that's terrestrial refraction at 7/6 of a radius derived from a flat Earth measurement. Again, a missed opportunity for a flat Earth proof contained within his argument for a globe that uses a flat Earth to make it, and his overcome for that globe claim that used a flat Earth to make the claim. So garbage convolution. Right. At 10 years, we should be able to dilute this right down to the bare minimum of what's actually happening here.
Right, and atmospheric refraction, when they want to talk about it, you're talking about distortion at a point where surface level appears to meet the sky. That's what you're actually talking about. So you're seeing a visual distortion of objects when they're near where surface level appears to meet the sky. You are only ever describing a flat Earth.
Yeah. This is what people need to start understanding. You're keeping them trapped in globe... start again. Keeping them trapped in flat Earth belief isn't a healthy place to be. In the same way we say to our opponents, share your pain. I've been in that flat Earth pain. Stuck with a good, strong, firm belief in flat Earth. It's not a good place to be. I don't know if you, a couple of days ago, heard One Deck and I discussing the relief, the feeling of ease when you know you're right because of the measurements being behind you. That's a very good place to be. And I don't see a lot of our compadres in this subject being in the same place.
Have this boat on a flat...
What it is we all know. They know, we know. We measure it that way. We all know it. But because of how we were raised, because of the rhetoric, we have come to doubt that which we know. And you shouldn't ever, ever doubt what you know. It's like the Oracle said to Neo in the Matrix, if you know it, you just know it, balls to bone. Don't let nobody tell you what you don't know when you do know.
Yeah, and I think using our opponents to show flat earthers, look, they know they're measuring it flat and using those flat earth measurements to claim a globe with. Now, given that they are so steadfast in their understanding of the measurement of Earth, which is flat, and yes, they've got their cognitive dissonance on display for you, an audience member, when they give you their excuses for why it isn't measured ball-shaped. Yeah? You, as a flat earther, need to understand balls to bones, like Neo, that their understanding, the globe head's understanding of how Earth is measured flat for their globe claim, can be shortened for you, the flat earther, to Earth is measured flat. You just don't need the caveats and excuses afterwards for why it isn't measured ball-shaped. This is the linchpin, right? This is the turning point for flat Earth and flat Earthism. If you want everyone in the Western world to appreciate, as you know, if you now know what we know about how Earth is measured flat, everybody in this argument at a base level already knows this too, and has the caveats and excuses programmed into them from birth. Sea level is a perfect example. It's something that fundamentally everybody understands, with how water behaves and how we must and do measure and deal with Earth. Now, once you understand that implicitly, and you see someone like that Karen that came on in the politics server, well, measuring elevations works for globe and flat. No. The globe uses flat Earth measurements to make its global assertions. It doesn't alter the fact that it isn't a global measurement when you get heights of things from sea level. They just use the reality of a flat Earth measurement to claim a globe for you to believe in. Now, given that everybody must understand that, it's how the world actually operates, there's no denying that's why we're frustrating the globers so much in the politics server currently. There's no getting around it. What are they going to do when they tell us how they measure Earth flat? Because Earth's so big and that. And we point out, so Earth's measured flat then. And they go, oh, well, no, you're just thick and don't understand how ball-shaped it doesn't need to be measured when I measure it flat, you dumbo. Now, when that resonates with people, that generally anyone with a base understanding or research into what Earth is and how it's dealt with, they'll find out it's measured and dealt with flat too. And that's the whys and wherefores and justification that people will eventually have to go, yeah, I always knew. Yeah, I understand that it's just a belief, a model, to understand how the stars move better. I don't actually think I'm on a ball. I understand it's a model and that we measure Earth flat. I've always known. This is that turning point where you go from, ridiculed, laughed at, violently opposed, and then accepted as always being understood by everyone. Well, that step, accepted as always having been understood by everyone, is the basis of what we're arguing in 2024 on Flat Earth Debate. Understand that Earth is measured flat, and you no longer have a belief in this subject. And everyone around you, globe earther or otherwise, will also reference these measurements. Maybe they reference these flat Earth measurements to believe in a globe. But that doesn't mean that it, as that Karen said, works on a globe when we get flat Earth elevation angle measurements from sea level for a globe. Au contraire. No, you can have your excuses, we can just have our flat Earth measurement. You can justify your belief with your excuses after measuring Earth flat. I have no need for such justification. I just look at the measurement and draw a line afterwards. The more we can keep banging this drum, which is why we're covering Dave Weiss, and saying there's a better way, a way that will relieve any of your flat Earth compadres in the audience of any pain that they may have stuck in a flat Earth belief. And why would they be stuck in a flat Earth belief? Well, because this is the standard of evidence. It's not a ball because boats going over the horizon is bunk. You can go up higher and see further only on a flat Earth. It's not relieving any pain. Not helping anyone. It might have just about woken a few conspiratards up 10 years ago.
What it will do, though, is reaffirm the bias of anyone else that believes that surface level is curving. And as you increase in elevation, you can see further along that curve. and that the horizon is dipping away from your eye as you raise an altitude, as it is measured. You know, you just put yourself in opposition to measurement. And why would you do that? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, just the simple act of raising an altitude requires a reference plane. 109 people watching, right? Very warm welcome if you've just joined the stream. We are covering a Flat Earth Day video, so as is always the case, please let Dave know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. There is a link going by in the live stream chat as we speak. And the idea, as always, is that if Dave were to respond to our video, he would put a link to my video and share in the YouTube algorithmic love that we so desperately desire but definitely do not receive from YouTube. So hopefully if Dave were to make a response, he'd put a link to our video. And in the meantime, with the meager audience that we have, although on this channel, Dave's not actually got a great deal of subscribers. Yeah, go and share the love. Go and subscribe to Dave. I'll do that right now. And give him a like. Leave him a comment. Let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Hopefully, if I say it a couple more times, it gives enough people in the audience to actually go and do this live. I am actually literally suggesting that you go and do this right now as we are live. And I'll babble my way through to my call to action a few more times so people do actually go and leave a comment from the live stream audience. That'll definitely be Eli Rumps.
May I say as an olive branch to Dave,
again, that
this is just an olive branch to Dave. It's not that we don't like you. You know, there's things that's happened in the past that are not that are not good things. That are not good things to have said about us, and we don't like that. But if you're going to be a representative of the people in this subject, we would really appreciate it if you would listen to us and hear what we're saying and understand it. Please.
Or break your legs.
Whatever.
Table. And we're just dragging it away. There's the sun. It's disappearing on a flat table. No atmosphere, no waves, no other. There's a lot of things that make things disappear from the bottom up. But this is just being pulled across with some atmospheric magnification. It's a simple test. You can do it yourself. The atmosphere does magnify things, and things disappear from the bottom. Oh, the bottoms of the buildings are missing on a flat table. That means that table's spherical. Okay? So here's the Red Bull jump. Everyone's like, oh, the Red Bull jump. That. He saw the
Can we stop there for a second? Because I like that. He used a flat plane to show how a flat plane can seem to obstruct things bottom up. I like that. That's not a bad place, but it's still it could use some refinement. That's all I'll say about it. But that's a good place to be in, knowing that.
He saw the horizon, you know, he saw the curvature, but they had fisheye lenses for everything, except the camera in the capsule behind him. And 10 feet off the ground,
and then he took
127.
Why did I even say anything? I don't know why I spoke. He just immediately said the horizon is Earth's curve.
I was going to tell you.
Tired. Dang it. Dave.
Okay. I mean, you've got to extract some flat earth proof out of what he's actually doing, though. I mean, he's talking about how the horizon looks and how it should be bending and blah, blah, blah. Okay. I mean, we've already covered earth curve calculations in terms of the extrapolation of the differential between surface level and eye level to infer that there is an earth curve in the first instance. For this, we're talking about altitudes, right? Dave's taken it to, from the fisheye view, you've got the same curve through the horizon window view from a GoPro as you have at whatever, 128,000 feet. Well, what is 0 feet and what is 128,000 feet? Well, they're describing the height above surface level. That's how this works. So there's a very quick and easy flat earth proof right in the description of this guy just raising an elevation. Because elevation is a flat earth description. It's height above surface level.
7,000 feet, is it? The horizon is the same. At 127,000 feet, if you do the math, there would be 381,000 feet drop to that horizon.
See? back
What
for
there?
overcoming a globe argument and proposing the extrapolation of flat Earth differential between eye level and surface level into an Earth curve reification below the surface level and flat Earth that's been measured to infer it, and how he overcomes that assertion based on the amount of drop there should be. No, drop.
May I go ahead and destroy his position as a glober? Would that help?
Nope.
Can
It won't help.
I go ahead and demonstrate? Can I demonstrate why what he said can be taken apart?
If you want.
Right. So there should be however much feet of drop he's describing, right? From eye level. Let's just forget about the flat planes we're using because he has. There is. That's what the angle increasing as you raise an elevation from your perpendicular from vertical. That's how much is there. It's just, Dave, things get smaller in the distance. You didn't know that.
Yeah, he thinks he's putting a good devil's advocate position to overcome from the globe side. But what he's actually doing is describing how there isn't or is a drop at a given value when calculating the difference between surface level and eye level to infer how much drop there should or shouldn't be. We've advanced beyond this, so far beyond this.
Horizon, but it's still at the exact same level as from the ground. Okay? If you can't wrap your mind around that, you're unwilling to change.
It's not at the same level. Your altitude has increased, therefore surface level has dropped away from you. That is a fact. Now, you're fighting with a fact, Dave. A fact that already backed what you know. Why are you arguing with yourself at this point?
Because he doesn't understand how either argument works. He hasn't got a comprehensive understanding of how globe Earth maths works, so he doesn't understand what is principally involved in making that claim. That's the problem. Back in the day when this debate started, whatever it is, 7 years ago, we were straight into it with the Earth curve calculator, fighting within a limited understanding of what it did and being schooled by our opponents and losing to it. Then we got into how it functions and started to tear it apart from the base up, and we've spent the best part of 5 years exposing what we've now reached as a crescendo in terms of how it uses a flat Earth. Now, as I said
do you know why they were destroying you back, or they probably weren't destroying you, but do you know why they seemed to be laughing at you back then?
Because I was allowing them to use flat Earth measurements to infer sphericity.
Yes.
No, they thought that you were arguing with measurement. And in a way you were. The discussion was, how much Earth curve are we measuring? And you were saying, no, we're measuring more Earth curve or less Earth curve at this height or at this height.
Oh, you're taking it back to the basics.
I
yes,
got it.
That's correct. The first part of the adjusted title by me is the begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator. What John's highlighting is the reason we lost, and it's typically the answer I'd give when asked that question. It's just not contextually part of you measure a flat Earth first, but it's because we beg the question. It's in the title. As soon as you're into those calculations, like Dave now, you've already lost because you're already discussing Earth curve. You beg the question with them. How much Earth curve? How far out it is? How much we should be seeing of the building? That's all in relation to the assumption that there should or shouldn't be Earth curve, or how much there should be Earth curve in the way of whatever we're looking at. You've already lost.
Exactly.
Yep.
You're going right back on the ball. It's like you're too far. But John knows. I didn't realize it until you just explained it. You knew because we thought it was measured. And found out one more measurements.
Well, that's what I'm saying is the linchpin in 2024. They thought it was based on measurements because it was based on measurements. Measurements of what, you might say? Earth, of course. And its curviness? No, the maths derive curviness from the flatness that we measured. So when you put it to people that, yeah, of course you need to measure Earth flat to give you your globe belief, that's a fact. Now, it's a fact with everything that we deal with in terms of Earth. Earth is flat. Therefore, it makes perfect sense that everything's going to be dealt with as such. And it is. Even the extrapolation of sphericity. So when people come to the, well, I already knew, they've got a reason to suggest that they already knew. It's not a revelation that they have to lie to themselves about already knowing. We do deal with Earth flat. So it's perfectly reasonable that that linchpin I'm describing, once pulled, leaves the world going, yeah, I already knew it was measured flat. Of course it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's right. You already knew that, did you? Well, good for you. You just have a strong belief in the globe. Yeah, well, I like being part of that religion. I just knew it. I knew it wasn't real, obviously. I'm not dumb.
You laugh, but that's how they're going to get out of jail free with that. You watch.
That's just societal acceptance. They getting out of jail is the pitchforks and torches of the masses who feel robbed and betrayed as we did when we first got to the subject. But that's not my concern in the slightest.
Pardon me, that is the get out of jail free card. And I will offer it to anyone who understands it. Because they basically doubted what they know. And in that doubt, they built a belief. But that is just a flaw of humans. And I'm not going to grab a pitchfork and a torch and burn their house down because of them being human. I just won't do it.
Change your paradigm based on factual information. Coincidence? Coincidence. Thank you. So you can't see the curve from 24 miles up, but rockets follow the curve of the Earth, right? But chemtrails don't. Chemtrails go straight.
It's all about how they claim it's a curve and how that isn't correct. Yeah? It's the not ball Earth argument. You know what I mean? Like, this is on a channel called Flat Earth Dave.
All right. So this is the Red Bull rocket launch. Is it Red Bull? Whatever.
Pound says his next example includes a comparison to how curvature should be involved or shouldn't be involved. Let's see if I'm right.
Whatever it's called. It's sponsored by Red Bull. Unedited, NASA and SpaceX edit before it clears the friggin' tower. You see like 7 edits, right? This thing went up. I wish we had sound, but don't screw with it. And all of a sudden it goes kerplunk. It went into some other medium. It stopped spinning. And that was interesting. We see this flat horizon, but this is the moon. That's interesting. This took off in Arizona, right? Arizona is right here. So it's new.
Good.
Dave just claimed there was another medium. Why did he do that?
I don't know.
Certainly did.
Here, wherever the sun is, it's noon. It's about 11 a.m. in Arizona, and the moon was over here. So if the Earth was a basketball, that rocket is a millimeter.
It's a pound.
A fraction of a millimeter above the basketball, and the moon is on the floor.
Meanwhile, we're looking at this on a transverse Mercator projection. Transverse Mercator projection is a square grid representation of a globe when projected onto a cylinder and then rolled out flat. That globe has a latitude system that has come from elevation angle measurements, both north and south, of the equator, also derived from flat Earth measurements. So you've got a flat, plane, grid system transposed onto a globe, projected onto a cylinder, and then rolled out flat to give you this square grid system based latitude and longitude transverse Mercator map. This is a flat map with flat Earth angle measurements to Polaris as its origin. It's got a globe in between, and they used to lean on that as, well, it's a globe projection that's come from latitude measurements off a flat Earth. So now we're at the end. We're 10 years in. We used to just get the response, oh no, it doesn't matter that this map's flat and functionally working flat and dealing with angles to everything in the sky. It came from a globe. It's a globe projection. yeah, where did that globe projection come from? Flat Earth angle measurements to the stars? Go ahead, John.
Right. Also, he used the term above while trying to describe the paradigm of the globe. That above and below are only descriptions relative to a horizontal plane of reference. You just can't get that with a sphere.
Floor. How did it see the moon? Okay. Refraction, gravity, anybody? Okay. If the
Why is he throwing in all these words that so far have only been connected to global assertions in atmosphere with terrestrial refraction at a rate of r derived from a flat Earth measurement? And gravity, not yet mentioned. Only. Go on, Neil. Straight through the top of me.
Sorry, yeah, he thinks he's a Flat Earth Dave ambassador, but I don't hear anything pertaining to Flat Earth. All I hear is trying to debunk a globe. I mean, what year is it?
118 people watching. Very warm welcome to all of you who've just joined us. Please share the show if you've not done so already. It's dead easy. It's like 2 clicks to share the show.
Well,
go ahead.
I don't want to sound like I don't want to sound like I'm insulting to someone when they're trying to debunk a globe, right? Like if you look at Brian attacking their claims, you know, it's entertaining, it can be eloquent, and it can build upon understanding, right? But that Brian is in debates with people all the time. He's dealing with claims that he's been given in those debates. I don't think Brian would get up in front of a room full of flat earthers who already understand the earth is flat, or, well, for the sake of this argument, they already believe the earth is flat, and start talking about how the globe doesn't work.
Yeah, Brian's not going to offer it up.
Yeah, and like I say, we have only taken this attitude in the last 6 months. So there's been a couple of years of build up to that, with us learning how Earth's measured flat, and prior to that, quite a few years of build up to how we've been deceived into believing with the claim of science we're on a ball. So, you know, the progression that we've had has been slow, little baby steps with some of the opposing side audience saying, oh, nothing ever happens on flat Earth debates, same show every time. Well, it can be perceived that way if you just pop in for 10 minutes and say, what's going on here? Oh, they're asking housekeeping again. Yeah, we are. But drip, 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 the information has come in over the course of the last 2 or 3 years, and this is where we end up. Now, in the past, I've attempted with all of the subjects that we have expanded our flat Earth understanding with to approach people like Dave, people like Bob, people like Jaron, and pass on this information. Now, in almost every single respect, I've been shot down. Now, in this instance, we're putting the information out and saying, go and tell Dave in the same way as I'd put it out to an opposing person, somebody who's decrying our subject matter. But I feel like I have to take the same exact attitude with people on our own side through past experience, which is to say, they're unwilling, that is the people I've just listed. I can't speak for Eric Debay because I've never had any direct contact with him. You know, maybe a comment response is the best I've ever had out of Eric Debay. So he can get left off that list just through being a bit more scarce in his appearances or his communication. But in terms of the other main protagonists in this subject, I've approached all of them. And none of them have been willing. In fact, quite the contrary. When I've put science to them, they've turned around and told me I'm a scammer. So I don't know how beneficial this is going to be, but we're doing the same thing. It's history repeating itself. We're now coming and turning around to the biggest ambassadors in our community and saying, Earth is measured flat. Here's how it's measured flat in the globe's claim. Here's how it's measured flat in celestial navigation. Here's how it's measured flat in surveying. Here's how Earth is actually dealt with. That's what we should be arguing as flat earthers, as opposed to, here's what the globe says and here's how it doesn't work. We've been doing it for 10 years. No doubt this will end in me being called a scammer or something. Who knows?
Right, but why would you want to go to a contentious point beyond what, you already have a firm acceptance by everybody in the room. Earth's measured flat. They measure it flat. They'll tell you over and over how, yeah, we measure it flat. Why would you want to go on to argue without them making the claim? Now, once they make the claim, all bets are off. Like I said, you got to know the subject if you're going to argue it. But just stick to what you agree on, and you can't go wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point. Stick to what you agree on. The opponent also measures Earth flat for their globe examples. Now, in the past, we have brushed past the fact that they are utilizing flat Earth measurements for their globe claims. We've just allowed them to do it. Now, because they're doing it frequently, there's several examples. You can go to some of my shorter videos and hear our opponents telling us, oh, well, it's perfectly fine for me to use sea level and a height above it for a globe. And us going, no, it isn't okay. And that's basically it. That's the end of the argument. You stop them where you agree. And where do we agree? Well, at the starting point of their argument, because they've got to measure Earth flat to do it. So it's really easy.
The Earth is a globe. There is a required distance to a physical horizon, but there is no physical horizon. The horizon is optical. These mountains here...
I mean, that sounds like the worst ham-handed rendition of the Black Swan argument, doesn't it? Yeah? He's talking about the distance to the physical geometric sphere edge horizon in the Black Swan that's overcome with modus tollens and evidence that demarcates things with physical distances. That's oil rigs. Just recent.
Yeah, he's never gonna mention that. He's just gonna bring up Rayleigh criterion, and that'll be it, and give an explanation as to how and what we see. But no, he won't cite an example which exemplifies it. It'll just get too complicated as he rambles on telling you about optical dissolution and Rayleigh criterion and Airy's disk.
Here.
Right,
All eight of
but
these...
in his description, he said physical horizon. Physical is something that you experience with one of your five senses. You see the horizon. Dave, what have you done?
Reified a point below the surface level that's flat that must be measured to infer it for a globe so that he can overcome that inference after measuring a flat plane to infer that we've got a sphere edge for him to overcome with this high altitude imagery. It's just 10-year-old crap.
Well, he denied the existence of the horizon, is what he just did.
Did he? Did I miss that?
He said the horizon's... Yeah, he said the horizon's not physical. Well, physical is things that we experience with our five senses. We see the horizon. What are you doing? Now, if you'd have said tangible,
That's where I was going.
Yes, sir. Yeah. If you experience it with one of your five senses, you can describe it as physical. That doesn't mean it's tangible. The problem is if you say the horizon's not physical, you better not be seeing it, smelling it, tasting it, touching it, or hearing it.
You need to caveat it with the word obstruction if you're going to say that, and then you're fine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Adam. Absolutely.
Okay, I'll have to listen to this back when I listen to the re-up because I didn't really follow along with that conversation between you two, but I'm sure on the re-up I'll hopefully digest it a bit better. We'll play on.
Are over 700 miles away. There should be over 40 miles of curvature.
I hate that phraseology. It should be. Should it? We're supposed to have Earth curve, are we? Sorry, I've just told myself before I entered into this. I'll keep it light-hearted, not be screaming at Dave. Right, let's just try that again. Or someone else take at the reins while I get my composure.
All right, I'll give the global response. There is, Dave. Things get smaller in the distance. Now where are you going to go?
okay, it's probably not for the best as a flat earther to be telling your flat earth audience, the converted already, that there should be earth curve. Yeah, because then we're going to try and find out why there isn't. Because it should be there. That's what you've just told them. Now, I've already expressed my frustration, so I'll try and keep a lid on it. But in 2024, telling people that there should be earth curve and how much there should be, yeah, just listen to the words that are coming out of your own mouth. No, there shouldn't be any earth curve. Why are you even mentioning earth curve? You're a flat earther.
Physical curvature. So the mainstream, the only answer they can have is refraction. These are refracting up and stopping at eye level, right? You know what the mainstream media says about this, all scientists? Nothing. They don't even acknowledge its existence.
It's a slightly looming non-standard refraction hyena holographic projection. They do address it, and if you put this to a glober and they had a good understanding of globe maths, they'd put their rebuttals to you. And you've already begged the question on their behalf, so half their job's done. You're already talking about how much earth curve should or shouldn't be there. And when it shouldn't be there, according to you, because it's definitely supposed to be, according to Dave, and they explain why it isn't with refraction, all derived from flat earth measurements, everyone's cushy. We've got earth curve supposed to be there, isn't because of refraction, but that's the explanation, therefore it's still earth curve. How is this in any way proving a flat earth? Ugh, so irritating.
Cannot acknowledge the existence of photos like this, and there's many, right? So here we did a test on a frozen lake at night. We have a camera at just 6 inches off the ice.
They got 8 miles and 6 inches. Both of those measurements are flat earth measurements. That's it, your job's done if you just point out that both of those measurements are descriptions of elevation with respect to a surface level and a mile distance. That's derived from original angle measurements to stars. You've got miles, that's a flat distance. Yeah? Now, when they start explaining why this occurs in a false dichotomy, they will also use these flat earth proofsies that you've already brushed past. Now, the fact that we, flat earthers, Dave, in this example, also brush past the flat earth prerequisites in his example to explain how the globe says it should do X and we can show it doing Y. But the globe, when showing it doing X, has already used a flat earth to make that claim. They've measured the heights off surface level. They've measured the distance as a flat distance. You've already got enough to prove Earth's flat before you do anything. But they're just brushing past it. So when the globe earthers brush past the flat earth prerequisites, no one will notice, will they? Well, that's what we're doing in 2024 if we're up against an opponent. Stop them when they say, oh, I'm only 6 inches off the deck. What, off the surface level? Welcome to flat earth. No, I just need a little bit of flat earth height above surface level for me to move forward with my globe proof. Well, I'm done with you because you've already got a height above surface level. That's it. It's the end of the argument. Stop them when they use a flat earth. Now, if you don't even realise you're using a flat earth when you describe a distance along the ground, flat, in miles, or a height above surface level, then you don't realise where they are also using a flat earth. Now, given that we both start with the same thing, they will tell you about distance in miles to object obscured by flat surface levels in earth curve maths. They're giving you distances along a flat ground and heights above surface level to make this globe claim. Sooner we all start realising it, that everyone's measuring a flat earth, the better.
We put these lights out here, 8 miles, 7 miles, 6 miles, and 5 miles.
On a flat earth.
Just using the curvature calculator,
So we're not going to point out that these are flat earth distances with flat earth prerequisites off a flat earth elevation. We're straight into how much curve there should or shouldn't be. It's 2024, man. Come on. Earth's measured flat.
Is it a curve calculator, though?
No, it's a flat earth differential from surface level to eye level calculation. It's an optical resolution loss calculation, if you want to give it an accurate title.
Right, and that when Adam mentioned the Rayleigh criteria or whatever, that he would try to explain why. That might be a good segue into that. But it still doesn't take away that you need surface level to be a horizontal plane. You need eye level to be a parallel plane with that horizontal plane of reference. And that point at which the horizontal plane of reference appears to touch the sky is what you're calculating for. Has nothing to do with Earth curve.
No, but we're having to take the long route around with Dave Weiss's anti-globe rhetoric. It's like this is his substitute for flat Earth evidence, his anti-globe rhetoric. And we're taking his anti-globe rhetoric and saying within your anti-globe rhetoric, you've got flat Earth measurements just hiding in there. They're being ignored. They're being hijacked. So you're using flat Earth measurements and not realizing it, brushing straight past them and showing how the globe Earth claims we've got a sphere edge horizon below surface level when using heights above surface level and distances along surface level to claim we've got a point below surface level called Earth curve. It's like, why are we having to go this far around the reeking? Oh, because we've got flat earthers who don't do a good job of talking about flat Earth. They talk about how the globe isn't true, non-stop.
It was bad enough, but I took off refraction, which I don't even believe it would affect it at all, and made it the best favor of the globe. 30 feet of curvature, 22, 15, and 9, but somehow they all showed up on the same level. Somehow. They all refracted up just the right amount at those distances and formed a straight line. Again, this is rock-solid proof that we're not on a ball the size that they...
Yeah. He just said he measured consistent curvature. What are you doing, Dave? What are you doing? You measured consistent curvature between these points? Is what you just said. What?
And then he followed it up. Then he followed it up by saying, "This is rock solid proof that you're not on a ball."
Yeah, not on a ball. Is it not on a ball, Earth, Dave? You know what I mean? He's called Flat Earth Dave, isn't he?
Tell us at least. It would have to be thousands of times bigger. This is Mount Canigou. This is a shot from Alusia, France. We're looking out. Mount Canigou is over the ocean, 275 miles away. We can't see it. Next. Google. I don't know what to say. Satellites. That's a big one. How do satellites work? Well, NASA's the largest consumer of helium. They own all the helium in the world, pretty much, and they leave just enough for party balloons and maybe an occasional Goodyear blimp. But they put up thousands and thousands of these satelloons. One of my American Airlines pilots called me and said, he said, we received a message that 2 NASA balloons are descending from 55,000 feet in our airspace.
55,000 feet? What would that be? Height above sea level? I've got a picture of balloons and aeroplanes with an Earth curve edge horizon in this picture. I don't understand. I really don't understand.
Right. Right, but what does NASA's consumption of helium matter to whether they are putting things in orbit?
What's orbit? Sounds very much like a Keplerian derivation of angle measurements to the stars. Am I right?
Oh, dear.
Yes, you'll need apogee and perigee to describe it. It's off a flat plane. But the thing is, because Dave isn't going to go into what orbits are, he's just described satellites, satelloons, and then said because satelloons exist, satellites don't exist. That's just a non sequitur.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the area that the orbiting, by way of a calculation from flat Earth angle measurements to the stars, the orbits are claimed to take place, after calculating them from flat Earth, in a place that isn't real. That's a sky vacuum. So in this graphic that we've got being used for some reason, we've got a black area that's supposed to be in the heliocentric rhetoric, 10 to the minus 17 Torr sky vacuum. And what's this below it? That's high pressure gas right there, not expanding into it. So the area that they say the satelloons or orbiting with use of flat Earth measurements satellites isn't a real area to be. That's it. There's no place to be in orbit, and the orbits have come from flat Earth measurements of angles to stars. So it's an inference that requires Earth be a plane, so you're not going to be circling around it in the description that's derived from those angle measurements. It's absurd. if you know the origin of the claim of orbit. Something we've covered for the last couple of years. Orbits needs a flat Earth. Now, back then we weren't saying move forward on the front foot and just tell people how Earth is measured flat. We were saying you'll need a flat Earth for that. Because in a similar vein, we were undoing the globe Earth argument and pointing out the origins of a flat Earth. Now, which is all well and good if you've got an opponent putting it forward to you on the front foot. But if you're in the driving seat, just tell people Earth is measured flat. You know, this convoluted round-the-reeking description of how the globe that's come from those flat Earth measurements doesn't work is not gonna. It's not a clear path for somebody, as far as I'm concerned. There are better ways if you're trying to lead an audience.
And they have no transponder. He freaked out because he knows there's like 8,000-pound satellites on this thing, and the other co-pilot's like, "Oh, balloon, that's cool." And so there, nothing happened. He didn't see it, but interesting that a balloon is traveling. So people's like, what about satellite phones, right? I have a whole presentation on that. This is Starlink. I've seen it myself. Right? Lots of you probably have. You look up, you see these lights going through the sky. What are they? How far away are they? They look really low. They look really low. And they are really low. Here's a 747. Here's a 747. Can you see the engines? Right? The engines are huge, and you can't see them at 7 miles high. 7 miles high. That's the engine. Okay? So 7 miles high. Can't see it.
7 miles high? Would that be its elevation with respect to sea level? I'm pretty sure that's a flat Earth proof right there. Any further comment?
I can't make it. Yeah, I'm kind of with Neil on this one. None of this is making sense. It's almost like rambling is the best I can get from it. It's non sequitur after non sequitur that almost gives the impression that he's proving something, I guess, or trying to. I'm just not getting anything from it.
Any more for any more?
Because he's got no confidence in it. He has confidence in what he's saying, but the confidence is not in Earth is flat. That's the problem.
Mush, are you happy with our coverage of this, as it was you that brought it up?
Yeah, man, like I said, the video was shared by the fella called Measured Flat. But in my opinion, I think we're done with Dave, man. There's no point in covering Dave anymore. He's not gonna move on from this. He just wants to talk about how it's not a globe, and he doesn't want to understand, I guess. It is what it is, man. Time to move on, I think.
Don't be so negative. This might be the first he's hearing of this. You never know. But with that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you who liked, commented, shared, hit the super chat and all that good stuff. And of course, a massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.